What would you do if the life you'd built from scratch was threatened by someone who barely knew you? I was 23, juggling 2 jobs and night classes, when Greg, my mom's new husband, stormed into the cafe where I worked, his face red and his voice loud enough to silence the lunchtime crowd. "You need to quit this dead-end job, Sarah," he bellowed, pointing a meaty finger at me. "You're shirking your duty to your sister, Chloe. She needs you to bond with her." The word sister stung like a slap. Chloe, his 16-year-old daughter, wasn't my sister. She was a stranger who'd moved into my mom's house 6 months ago, along with Greg, and expected the world to revolve around her. I stood frozen behind the counter, coffee pot in hand, as customers stared and my manager, Lisa, hovered nervously nearby. This wasn't just about a job. It was about my survival, my dreams, and the family I was still trying to hold together. I'd grown up with just Mom and me, scraping by in a tiny apartment after Dad left when I was 5. Mom worked double shifts at the hospital, and I learned early to cook, clean, and keep quiet so she could sleep. When I was 18, I moved out to give her space, working as a barista and a tutor to pay for community college. I wanted to be a social worker, to help kids like me who fell through the cracks. Then Mom met Greg, a loud, burly contractor with a teenage daughter who seemed to have everything I never did: new clothes, a phone that wasn't cracked, and a dad who doted on her every whim. I was happy for Mom, but Greg's arrival shifted something. Family dinners became tense, with Chloe sulking if the attention wasn't on her and Greg lecturing me about stepping up as a big sister. I barely knew Chloe, and she made it clear she didn't want to know me, rolling her eyes when I tried to talk or blasting music through her earbuds. That day at the cafe, Greg's outburst was the breaking point. He ranted about how Chloe felt neglected because I wasn't spending time with her, how I was selfish for working instead of being a family. My cheeks burned as coworkers whispered and customers filmed on their phones. Lisa finally stepped in, asking Greg to leave, but not before he shouted, "You're tearing this family apart, Sarah." I wanted to scream that I wasn't the one tearing anything, I was the one holding myself together. After he left, Lisa gave me the rest of the shift off, her eyes kind but worried. I sat in the break room, hands shaking, wondering how my life had become a battlefield. The next day, I went to Mom's house to talk. I found her in the kitchen, looking tired, her hair streaked with more gray than I remembered. Greg was out, and Chloe was upstairs, her music thumping through the ceiling. I poured us coffee and asked why Greg thought I should quit my job. Mom sighed, her fingers tracing the mug's handle. "He thinks you're avoiding Chloe," she said. "He says she's acting out because she's jealous of you, your independence, your drive. He wants you two to be close, like real sisters." I laughed bitterly. "Chloe, jealous of me? The girl with the new car and the designer backpack?" Mom's eyes softened. "Sarah, she's not as put together as you think. Greg spoils her to make up for her mom leaving when she was little. She's struggling, just like you did." That hit me hard. I'd never thought of Chloe as anything but entitled, but Mom's words cracked open a new perspective. Still, I couldn't just quit my job. It wasn't about money, it was about proving to myself I could make it, that I wasn't defined by my past. Mom promised to talk to Greg, but I left feeling unsettled, like the ground was shifting under me. A week later, the twist came in the form of an unexpected visitor. I was wiping down tables at the cafe when Chloe walked in, alone, her usual smirk gone. She wore a plain hoodie, her hair messy, and she looked small. "Can we talk?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I nodded, stunned, and we sat in a corner booth. She fidgeted with a napkin, then blurted, "I didn't ask Dad to yell at you. I didn't even know he was going to your job." Her eyes met mine, and for the first time, I saw something raw: guilt, maybe, or fear. "He thinks I'm this perfect kid who needs you to fix me, but I don't. I don't know how to do this family thing either." Chloe's words unraveled me. She told me about her mom walking out when she was 8, how Greg's overbearing love felt like a cage, how she acted bratty to keep people at a distance. "I thought you had it all figured out," she admitted. "You've got your own place, your own life. I'm just stuck." I saw myself in her Thena kid trying to survive, hiding pain behind a mask. I told her about my dad leaving, about Mom's sacrifices, about why I worked so hard. For the first time, we weren't stepsisters or rivals. We were just two people, scared and trying. After that, things didn't magically fix themselves. Greg was still pushy, Mom was still caught in the middle, and Chloe and I weren't suddenly best friends. But we started small. She'd text me memes, I'd invite her to the cafe for free coffee. One night, she helped me study for a psych exam, quizzing me on flashcards while we laughed over her terrible pronunciation of Freudian. I didn't quit my job, and Greg eventually backed off, though not without grumbling. Mom started standing up for me more, and I made time to show up for Chloe, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. Looking back, I realized Greg's outburst wasn't about me or Chloe. It was about his own fear of failing as a dad, of losing the family he was trying to build. I could have let his words break me, could have walked away from Mom's new life. But I stayed, not for him, but for her, for Chloe, and for myself. Family isn't perfect, and it's rarely what you expect. Sometimes it's a loud, messy fight in a cafe, a quiet talk in a booth, or a kid you barely know becoming someone you can't imagine life without. What matters is showing up, even when it's hard, even when it hurts. Because in the end, that's what makes you whole.